Heaven's Wing is the B&M wing coaster at Suzhou Yangcheng Peninsula theme park. This was actually my first wing coaster from the manufacturer, and although it's certainly not the tallest, fastest, longest, or even best themed, it is still my favorite even after riding several more across the country. In short, this is the most intense B&M wing coaster I've ridden. I will explain why in this review. In 2015, there was a theme park being built called Hot Go Dream World. It was to feature two large-scale B&M coasters, a ginormous hypercoaster and a wing coaster. However, for one reason or another, it never opened and has been sitting abandoned for more than a decade. It was sad to see these major B&M rides unable to operate. Although we may never know what the hypercoaster would be like, the wing coaster did get a clone 3 years later, and that is the subject of today's video. In the 2010s, Huayi Brothers, one of China's most famous movie studios, wanted to build a theme park with their own IPs in it, sort of like Universal Studios. After a few years of construction, HB World, whose Chinese name reads more like Huayi Brothers Movie World, opened to the public. Unfortunately, the park did not have a single profitable year, and to make matters worse, Huayi Brothers were also beginning to lose money in their core business of filmmaking. All in all, the company was in dire financial straits. As a result, HB World was sold to a different operator in order to try and slow the hemorrhage. The park was also renamed to Suzhou Yangcheng Peninsula Theme Park after a famous lake in Suzhou called Yangcheng Lake. Though a lot of the theming from the HB World era has not been taken down yet. I went to the park once in 2024 before the sale, and then again in 2025, and many of the props were still there. For example, the entrance of Heaven's Wing remains unchanged. It is a grand temple-like structure with the ride's Chinese name on it. The queue is a covered pathway threading underneath the coaster, allowing you to get some great angles to film it. One other thing that has been pretty consistent across both my visits was the sheer lack of people. In fact, both times they were waiting 10 to 15 minutes between cycles simply because nobody was getting in line. As such, they were only running one train on the coaster. That train has 8 rows of 4 for a total capacity of 32 riders, which would be pretty good if there were enough crowds for it. It also features B&M's familiar vest restraints. I think they are quite comfortable, as unlike their older versions, it will not tighten on your collarbone on the high G valleys. In terms of my favorite seat, I like the front right best on this ride, as there is an airtime moment that can't be felt anywhere else on the train, and the first drop also gives much better hang time in the front. Heaven's Wing starts with the lift hill straight out of the station. It is actually one of the shorter wing coasters, standing just 36 meters or 118 feet tall. Then you go down the wing over drop. In front, you slowly twist upside down, which gives ample hang time. The back is dragged through, so the hang time, while still present, is not quite as strong or sustained. The following valley is extremely forceful, much more than any other B&M wing coaster I've ridden. This is actually one of the ride's defining features, as you will soon find out. That leads into a vertical loop. The train goes through it so quickly there is no hang time. It just gives you a short break from the positive Gs before the assault continues on the following valley. That is followed by a 0 G roll. This is a really graceful element, giving the entire train a few seconds of nice hang time and laterals as you slowly rotate through it. After another very intense valley, you go into a junior Immelmann, which is essentially an Immelmann that doesn't fully invert. In front, you are pushed up the element, maintaining the positive Gs from earlier. Though there isn't any hang time at the top, you will get a bit of whip in the back as you exit. After one more valley, which to absolutely no one's surprise has more great positive Gs, you roll into an inline twist. The entry is an ascent that actually has a strong burst of floater airtime, but only on the front right side due to the banking. Everyone else will still get copious hang time on the inversion itself. That exits into a turn which is angled downwards, giving more strong positive Gs. That fluidly transitions into a corkscrew. The entry and exit of this corkscrew have some decent positive Gs, and you will also get a very small amount of hang time at the top. Overall, it might just be the most lackluster inversion on the entire coaster, but that's not saying a lot. This sets you up for the final helix. As you would come to expect by now, this gives some strong positive g-forces. The power is similar to the valleys from before, but it is sustained for much, much longer. This helix is unrelenting, and on a hot day in the summer when the ride is running fast, it may even be somewhat physically draining. This is absolutely not something you would expect to find on a B&M wing coaster at all. Finally, you hit the brake run and return to the station, ending the ride. As a whole, Heaven's Wing is unlike any other B&M wing coaster I have ridden. While the elements and sequencing are all fairly standard for the model, the incredibly fast pacing and strong forces set this one apart. The train travels unnaturally quickly through the layout, and every valley has very strong positive Gs. That culminates in the final helix, whose power and duration are usually reserved only for old-school B&M inverts, and I love it. Because of this, you are inevitably going to get stapled on this ride. While I would typically recommend holding this kind of restraint up when there are moments of high positive Gs, your efforts will definitely be futile on Heaven's Wing, as it will come down hard on the bottom of the first drop because of the high G forces. Fortunately, it uses B&M's new vest restraints that do not restrict your breathing. This ride is also very smooth, making it a comfortable experience. I would not want to imagine how unpleasant it would be with Parrot Coaster's restraints combined with the rattle. There is actually another B&M wing coaster I haven't ridden that coaster enthusiasts also say is among the most intense, Phoenix at Toverland. It appears to also be very fast-paced, though it looks like a very short ride. I could not find any information on Heaven's Wing's track length, but it does have a longer and more satisfying ride time as it packs in more elements. As such, I believe that even if I were to ride Phoenix, I would still prefer Heaven's Wing. So, what is my rating for Heaven's Wing? I would give it an 8 out of 10. This is currently my favorite B&M wing coaster. I love the powerful positive Gs this ride dishes out, but it also mixes in some hang time filled inversions to juxtapose this, and even an airtime moment if you're sitting in the right seat. Although Hot Go Dream World may never open at this point, I am grateful at least one of their major coasters was cloned, and though B&M may not have intended for the ride to run this fast, it left us with this uniquely intense wing coaster. With all that said, what are your thoughts on Heaven's Wing? Have you ridden it? How does it compare to the other B&M wing coasters? Is it also your favorite? I would love to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this coaster review, and I would be very grateful if you leave this video a like and subscribe to my channel, as more videos will be coming soon. Thanks for watching.